This is the TJ Hoisington Podcast. Unleash your greatness within.
Hey there, and welcome to the Unleash Your Greatness Within podcast. Listen, I'm excited to share with you 5 habits that will change your life. Yes, 5 habits or principles that if you apply these principles will enable you to achieve greater levels of success immediately. I can promise you that. You see, last night I had the good fortune of being invited to be on a Zoom call with my good friend Casey, who I've known for over 20 years. I mean, he knew me when I was young and just getting started. So we have a little bit of fun with that. But you know, I came on to share, I had 20 minutes to share some core principles of success. So I thought I would share it here with you. So whether you're watching it on YouTube, if you are, hey, do me a favor, subscribe and click that notification bell so you're the first to be notified when I come out with a new motivational message or video or what have you. If you've downloaded it from Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, thank you for being a part of my community. Please join the Unleash Your Greatness Within podcast community. All right, without any further ado, let's just jump right into the training that I gave last night. Let's have a little fun with it, all right? Now let's go unleash your greatness within.
You already know. My passion and my mission to help you unleash your greatness within. My heart goes out to the underdogs that's on their way. If you think you can go from good to great, okay, let's motivate. GreatnessWithin.com. TJ Hoisington. GreatnessWithin.com.
I was 20 something years old. I was working for Tony Robbins. That is true. I sat in one of his seminars and my wife was next to me. I was an employee. And Tony Robbins got up, so this would have been the year 2000. Tony Robbins got up and said, go after your dreams. And I remember I was 15 years old years earlier thinking I'm one day going to be a motivational speaker. And I nudged my wife and I said, I got to give him my 2-week notice. I've been living Tony Robbins' dream. It's now time for me to live my dream. And so what did I do? I gave my 2-week notice and I left. The first 5 years of me building my business, I almost lost everything. Casey, you'll remember that. I mean, I was out speaking for free. I was doing everything I could. It wasn't until I lost everything financially that I sat in the back seat of the one car I did have that wasn't repossessed, and I wrote a book titled, If You Think You Can. And I sat there for 2 months and typed without making a long story out of it. That book, after 2 months, became an international bestseller. In fact, I spoke at a conference with 15,000 people. In a matter of 4 days, sold about 14,000 copies of the book, and the rest is history. That was a lot of years ago. So I have a few thoughts that I want to share with you today in terms of success and happiness and maybe some things to think about. And so I'm going to kind of categorize them in 5 areas. And number 1 is, no matter what you're doing, whatever your goals are in life, I don't know where I have found each of you today, but one thing is for sure, you've got to believe in yourself. So many people allow their past to define their future. You must suspend the reality of your past with a belief in it's an illusion. It's a little bit of delusion to believe in something that it has not been achieved yet. But you have to think that way, right? And until you think that way and you step out of your comfort zone, you'll never recognize the greatness that you have within. Think about the young man who was playing the piano late one night in the lounge. As he was playing the piano, a regular that was in the lounge came up to him and said, hey, I'm tired of hearing you just play the piano. I want to hear some singing. Well, the pianist looked up at him and said, I don't sing, I only play the piano. You see, that little group had a lead singer who was a female and a bass player and then this pianist. Well, those 2 other partners of the band weren't there that night. And so this regular came up and said, I want to hear some singing. He says, I don't sing. So he went to the bartender, who was the boss, and the bartender came back and said, hey, these fellas in here want to hear you sing. You better start singing or you're going to be fired. Well, that night, nobody ever sang the song, Sweet Lorraine, like Nat King Cole. He didn't even know at that point in his life that he had the tone and the pitch to be able to sing so legendary as we know him today. Many of you that know who Nat King Cole is, what an amazing voice. And it happened that night that an executive, this is where you don't know where blessings will show up. An executive from Decca Records Company that night was sitting in the lounge and heard that everybody in the lounge wanted a second and a third and a fourth rendition of that song. And so he went up to Nat King Cole and signed him a few days later, or weeks later, to a label, and the rest is history. I just remind you that you have greatness within, but until you're willing to step out of what's comfortable, you will never know what you're capable of. Okay, so that's number one. Start believing in the impossible. Look beyond the reality of your moment and believe I can achieve that. Act as if. Flick up and flick back and flick up. Think of the successful times you've had in the past. Carry those emotions forward and then put it in the next step that you have and just step right into it. That's number one. Number two is get committed. Something magical happens when you get fully committed. You know, the word decision, I call it, and if you think you can, I call it to make a true decision. And the Latin root word of the word decision is incision, to cut off from. So what you want to do is get focused, get a single eye on the goal that you... Tony Robbins would always say when I was working with him, he would always say, a man, and it could be a woman too, a man with one watch always knows what time it is. But a man with two is never quite sure. So you've got to get focused in whatever you're going to do, whether you're doing it full-time or part-time, whether it's the first time in sales, just get committed and just get started. I love this quote. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard it by Goethe. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffective, concerning all facts of initiative and creation. There is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless of ideas and splendid plans. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would have never otherwise occurred. A whole stream of events and issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man or woman could have dreamed would come his way. Whatever you can do, dream it and begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Make a true decision tonight. Maybe you already did a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago. Make that true decision in whatever you're going to do, and you will multiply by tenfold, maybe even 100-fold the results you get in your life. And that has to do with the law of the harvest, which I will end on tonight. The third thing that you want to make sure that you do that is consistent among all high achievers is that it's not talent based. When they've done the research, it's not about talent. You know what it is? It's about demanding the best, determination, demanding the best from yourself. You know, Michael Jordan lived by 3 rules. Rule number 1, and it applies to what you're doing in your business: know the fundamentals. You've got to know the fundamentals. Number 2, never take shortcuts. And then number 3, and by the way, with taking shortcuts, Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's fast food restaurant, he had a belief, if you remember, I don't know if they make the hamburgers the same way today or not, but there was a time when the hamburgers, many of you might remember, when Wendy's hamburgers were square. Well, you learn in his biography, Dave Thomas believed at Wendy's, we don't cut corners. So we don't trim off the corners of the hamburgers. You can't take shortcuts for long-term and sustained success. Be honest and have integrity. And then the third thing that Michael Jordan lived by was, when you've exhausted all other resources, then pull yourself through on heart alone. When someone said to Jennifer at the opening of this call, "You ready?" And Jennifer responded with, "I guess." Here's my message to you, Jennifer. Here's my message. Own it. Make a commitment. Get focused. Decide that you're going to be a success at this. And this applies to everybody on this call. You're going to be a success. And when you step into it and you're focused and you believe in it, listen, there were plenty of times early in my career where I thought, where my wife came to me and said, maybe you should go get a job. But I couldn't do it until I exhausted every idea that I had. I'll tell you one little side story. I wanted at least one endorsement of If You Think You Can when I came out with it. I wrote the book in the backseat of my car. My self-esteem, my self-confidence was beat up just a little bit, but I ignored it and I kept taking action. I kept taking action by writing the book in the backseat of the car. I sent out 20 requests from people like Brian Tracy, Jack Canfield, Ken Blanchard, Charlie Tremendous Jones, Les Brown. I sent out all these requests to send my 3-ring binder of my book to all of them, and hopefully out of 20, I would get one back. Well, guess what? In about a month and a half, I got 19 out of the 20 endorsements back. Here's what I know. When you fully commit and you demand the best from yourself, and you're fully committed and you believe it's possible and you just go after it every day. Les Brown would always say, inch by inch, everything is a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard. Just go after it every day as best you can. You're only in competition with your best self. Okay, number 4, that is master your thinking. Your thoughts matter. Words perpetuate performance. Your behavior, your success will always mirror the belief, the thought pattern, and the thoughts you have within. You attract and you dispel that which you dwell on. And so get focused in dwelling on the thing that you ultimately want. Here's the golden rule of self-confidence. You might want to write this down. Remember this of everything that I share with you today about self-confidence. The act, A-C-T, the act of confidence comes first, and then the feelings of confidence come second. Most people wait until they feel motivated to get motivated and then to hopefully take action. By then, you've done the circular loop and now you've talked yourself out of it. It's too hard. Right? So you want to make sure that you get totally focused and take that action. You have a goal that you want to accomplish, step right into it and go. Even though you're scared, even though you're nervous, just go and act as if. I'm not one that's really big in using the term fake it till you make it, although it's the same concept. I just don't like that term because I don't want to fake anything. But here's one thing you can do. Act as if. Act as if you're confident. Act as if you can handle this. Act as if you're cool, calm, and collected. And all of a sudden, you'll represent that in your life. Love this story. During the Masters golf tournament many years ago, golfer Mac McClellan had been playing poorly. He said to his wife, "Honey, I'm playing so badly, I'm afraid I might hit somebody." McClellan said to his wife prior to the start of the second round, his tee shot off the first hole hit his wife and knocked her unconscious. Wow. How's that for predicting behavior? I could give you research after research after research about how words matter. So upgrade that internal operating system by putting more of your focus on the things you want versus the things you want to avoid. All right, the last thing, because I think my time is pretty much it. Let me just say one little side thing here. You're in sales. Sales is peaks and valleys emotionally. So when you have a valley or you have a setback or you're frustrated, shrink the negative and focus on all the good around you and blow that out of proportion. I wouldn't say most people, I would say what depressed people do, to be very specific, and this is scientific speaking in general, they shrink the good and they blow the bad out of proportion. What you want to do when you're having a down day, shrink the bad, tuck it away, remember it so you learn from it, but then go forward and take new action, okay? And that will keep that emotion high, because you got to have good emotion. You got to be able to separate and disassociate. All right. Then last one is number 5, the law of the harvest. I don't know if any of you have heard of the law of the harvest. It's not something I created. It's been around for hundreds of years, but it still rings true today. The law of the harvest has 3 laws, and here they are. Number 1, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. Cause and effect, okay? Number 2 in the law of the harvest, you reap more than you sow. What does that mean? That means as you take action, as you plant the seeds, you get multiple dividends in response, right? Let me give you a case example. I live in the Northwest. I could take a little tiny seed, I can put it in the ground, I could cover it, nourish it with the sun, the water, the air, and so forth. And in a matter of a few years, that tiny seed will grow up into an 80-foot to 100-foot fir tree that's really big and round. From a seed to 100-foot, big round tree, that's increased returns. One thing you cannot do when you grow the harvest or the farm, you can't cram the harvest. So here's the last law. Number 3, delayed gratification. We all want success right away, but don't get discouraged when you don't get the results that you want as fast as you want to get them. If you keep going out every day and you plant those seeds over and over and over every day, the law of nature will guarantee you that in a matter of time, whether it be 13 days, 2 months, 6 months, my case, 5 years, that eventually you'll get the results that you're seeking as long as you stay single focused, fully committed, believe that it's possible, demand the best from yourself. When everybody else is taking a break, you're still out there hustling. That's really critical. And then believe. That's the toughest thing, I think, in many cultures, especially ours here in the United States, is the delayed gratification. I am all about achieving success fast. And there's nothing like being successful. I would rather have that than not. But understand that some things will take a little bit more time, and your expectation might be a little bit out there, but that's okay. We shoot for the stars, hoping we land on the moon. We don't shoot for the moon because we might never get out of orbit. So we stay focused. So, out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Ladies and gentlemen, you have greatness within. I don't even know you, but the positive energy that I felt as I listened to you, and the fun and the joking around and all that, you have a good spirit in this group. I wish you all massive, massive success. If you want a little pick-me-up, a little bit of motivation from time to time, hey, visit the podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're all over. But check it out, and maybe you'll get some tools and some nuggets out of there. In all your businesses and in all your focus and in your families and so forth, I wish you all the very best, and may you go unleash your greatness within. All right, Casey.
Hey, come on, TJ.
Let's go.
Oh, you guys are nice.
Oh,
Yeah, TJ.
Let's go, TJ.
Very nice.
Let's go. Right.
Woo! That's amazing, brother. Oh my gosh, it's like you and I when we first met, we didn't have any gray hairs,
Oh, I know. Jeez.
and they were
And
there were 4 of them.
yeah. And back then, the first CD set that I ever did was a 6 CD set called The Power to Shape Your Life. And we remember the seminar, The Power to Shape Your Life. Oh, man, that was 20 years ago.
You know, show the picture. Wait, show the picture. Show the picture on the front. Hold it up to the camera. Yeah, boy,
yeah,
come
little
on.
chubby, little
Oh.
chubby. Ooh.
Oh my goodness, that's so great. Oh my goodness. And then listen, now decades later, traveling the world, millions of people in front of you as you've spoken on conference calls, live from stage, all and countless of millions
Humbly.
of times that
Humbly.
people have read pages and audios. It's just like, what a journey. And you're just getting started. You're just getting warmed up. You know, we were talking earlier and you're like, you were saying something, and I forget what we came to, but you're like, I'm never retiring, dude. I'm never retiring. I'm just going to keep going. I'm having fun every day of my life. And this is what you always wanted to do. It's what you always wanted to become. What does it feel like to become the man that you wanted to be? And then yet, once you arrive, knowing that you want to become another better man, another future version of yourself. How do you feel about all that? How does that unravel for you?
I don't know. I'm not there yet. Right? There's still so much I want to do. I mean, there's multiple books in my head. There's one I'm halfway through right now. I'll tell you guys just for the fun of it. Lose your job, win your life. I mean, so I and just trying to be a good person. One of the things I will say this, one of the things as I do executive coaching calls, there's one question I'll ask. I usually do coaching calls that last 6 months to a year. So every month I get on with these executives and I help them achieve higher levels of whatever. And it's one-on-one. Well, one question that I've been asking lately is, what do you feel strongly about the world? I don't try to position it. I stay out of politics, anything. I would say, let's just say 50 people, 45 of them say something in the tune of, something just isn't right. But what we want to do, or they'll say something like, this country's going to hell in a handbasket. Let me tell you something. It's going to be people like you that rise above it and are champions for success and believing in possibilities and not buying in all the drama. I mean, if you read the book, The Magic of Believing by Bristol, he says that at the Great Depression, what were they saying over and over and over? They would say, the banks are failing, nobody will be successful. He said it became the national chant. And then eventually that's exactly where the people went, right? Words perpetuate performance. You all, and I know you'll agree with this only because you're all high achievers, it's rise above it, right? Be the best that you can be. Remember, you're only in competition with your own best self. So to answer your question, Casey, I'm still striving. I'm still moving. There's still a difference I want to make, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
So I got to tell you a couple of comments. A couple of text messages I've been getting since we actually started on. Are you recording this? Are you recording this? I hope you're recording this. Those are like 3 different ones. And then every time I had to just copy and paste. No, sir, live only, because you got to be here. If you weren't here, you missed it. And I mean, every week we're going to have great people. But dude, you're top. Here's another one for you. Hold on, ready?
Yep.
From one of the great leaders on this call, Mr. Josh Wiles. Bro, this guy is effing good.
Thank you.
Oh, man. Oh, I just love it.
Yeah, do it. I'm good. Yeah.
I've got one more little piece I'd like you to elaborate, if you're okay on time.
I'm here for you guys. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So here's where we are right now as a team, and I'm going to make an announcement here in just a minute when we're finishing up here. But the team is in the first 11 days of a pre-launch to a 90-day run that's going to start September 1st, go through December 1st. And I know you've been a part of this. You've been a part of a 90-day push, 90-day launch in people's businesses. I know you've seen it change lives. I know you've seen it. But what is it that person can reach for, that one certain something that maybe in the past they've set goals and they fell short? And they're like, well, I've set goals lots of times and I haven't made it. Like, what can you tell somebody when they're drawing a line in the sand, when they're making that decision? What's something, some advice you could give people to take with them? And I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No. I've been here many times. Do some mental jiu-jitsu. Here's what I mean. I told you a little bit ago, shrink the bad and blow the good out of proportion. Now I'm going to tell you do the opposite, but do it strategically. First of all, understand, I'm not going to say anything you don't know here, but motivation has to come from within. But you got to get yourself to reach the day of disgust. So how do you reach the day of disgust where your subconscious mind goes, I'm not happy anymore, and it starts looking for the evidence to prove your current existence is not meaningful anymore, and then you start looking for something new, right? That's cognitive dissonance, where you're here right now, but you have a vision for where you're at right now, and that creates anxiety, tension, feedback. That's where most people quit, right? Because they get uncomfortable. So what I say is, use your mind to start, take some quiet time, and you even have a pen and a paper handy or something, and imagine all the bad that can potentially come into your life and disrupt your life and make it more painful if you don't take action, and then switch it and focus on all the benefits down the road that you really believe. You'll convince yourself that you believe you can achieve it, assuming you're teachable along the way by the team leaders you have and so forth, who will teach some of those core skills that you can adopt and use and so forth. Listen to those people that are already being successful. So you got to focus on the negative enough that you get yourself to that day of disgust, and then you've got to take action. Even if it's small, it's consistent action. When I wrote, if you go to Wikipedia right now, and you type in Swiss Family Robinson, by show of hands, how many of you have ever heard of Swiss Family Robinson? Okay, a few of you. Some of you haven't. It's an old classic book from the 1800s. In 2015, I wrote the first sequel in 105 years. And if you go to Wikipedia and type in Swiss Family Robinson and go down to new adaptations, you'll see my name down there. It took me over a year to write that book. How do you stay motivated to write? And here's what most people don't know. I've never read a fictional book in my life. And I wrote one. And it's got some of my best reviews. So how did I do that? Inch by inch every day. Even when I didn't feel like it, I used discipline to get in my seat and start writing. And then the feelings would start to come. And then I'd be there for 8 hours and it would only seem like I was only there for 10 minutes. So you've got to get frustrated enough with your current circumstances that this time is going to be the time you change. Now, is it possible that we backslide from time to time? Yes, but research shows the more times you backslide and get back up, you're actually making progress. So don't give up on yourself when you feel like I keep screwing up and giving up and I don't have any self-discipline or self-control. Just get back up again and go again, and you'll be moving forward. Is that enough? Is that okay?
Heck yeah, man. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Are you kidding me, dude? So I want to tell you something else. You know that girl that you mentioned at the onset?
Yeah, totally.
Here's what's so cute about that. That little girl is Jennifer Decker, and out of 420 some odd folks in the team She this last week was #1 in sales, and all the whole team.
Oh,
and
love
she's
that.
so shy. Listen, the first time she's on a Zoom call with me, she came on the Zoom call, and I could see her shaking. She was shaking on the other end, and this girl has got some kind of crazy fire in her. I mean, if I could get her to get a hold of a guy like you and get a hold of some of the stuff that you're doing, it would just unleash the total tiger. I mean, she's already a total Bengal anyway, but anyways.
You know what, Casey? It's just about getting out of our own way. We've all, to some degree, I'm an optimist, but to some degree, we've all been beaten down in some way or another. And we have to defy that and say, no, that's not a representation of what my possibility, my greatness is. I'm going to rise above that. I'm going to forgive who I need to forgive, and I'm going to move forward. And I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to surround myself with other high achievers. Because when you're weak, it's the people around you that will hold you tall. And so you want to be around a team like this, and you guys obviously have a great team that you're building, and I wish all of you massive success. So.
Let's hear it for TJ Hoisington, everybody. I got a big announcement for you. TJ, come on, unmute yourself. Let's hear it for TJ.
Hey, thank you, TJ. You rock. Massive gratitude, brother.
Oh, good job. Excellent job.
Awesome.
Nice.
Hey there. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. If you did, could you do me a favor? It would mean the world to me if you could write a simple review or give me a star rating. I would really, and I mean really, appreciate it. Thank you in advance. Now go out there and unleash your greatness within.
GreatnessWithin.com